A key, a church door, 500,000 dead. 2 monks argued over who should hold it. 10 years later, 3 empires were at war. In Bethlehem stands the Church of the Nativity, marking the spot where Jesus was born. 6 miles north, in Jerusalem, stands the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, built over the tomb. Catholics and Orthodox Christians had shared both for centuries. Sharing was never the easy part. In 1808, the church in Jerusalem burned. The Orthodox paid for the repairs, and while they rebuilt, they cleared away the Catholic traces. Who controlled which corner? That alone was a fight. In 1847, it boiled over in Bethlehem. Men who preached peace came to blows. The silver star marking the birthplace itself was stolen. Who actually took it? Nobody knows for certain. All 3 communities blamed each other. Who held the key to the main door? Who lit the candles? Who prayed at which hour? A small dispute turned into years of simmering tension. This land belonged to the Ottomans. The decision was Sultan Abdulmejid's to make. In late 1852, France's leader, Louis Napoleon, sent a warship, not to Istanbul, straight up the Dardanelles. He didn't actually care about Jerusalem. Within weeks, he'd crown himself Emperor Napoleon III, and for that, he needed Catholic support back home. The message was clear anyway: give the Catholics their rights. The Sultan gave in. 2 keys to the main door, handed to the Catholics, and at the very same time, he sent a secret order to the Orthodox. Don't worry, those keys won't even fit the lock. If you're enjoying this, subscribe. This tiny act of deception is about to blow up into a war between empires. The next year, he went further, replacing the stolen silver star himself, in Latin, at his own expense. Then issued a decree meant to please everyone. Freeze everything exactly as it stands. It pleased no one, because the Sultan was stuck. French warships on one side, all of Russia on the other. Whoever he angered, he'd pay for it. Tsar Nicholas I of Russia had declared himself protector of every Orthodox Christian alive. But in 1853, he told the British ambassador something else entirely. We have a sick man on our hands, a very sick man. It will be a great misfortune if he slips through our hands before we've arranged things properly. This was never about religion. He wanted a share of the empire before it collapsed. That same year, Nicholas sent Prince Menshikov to Istanbul with a demand far bigger than church keys: formal Russian protection over 12 million Orthodox Christians living inside the Ottoman Empire. If the Sultan agreed, he'd lose control of his own country. Britain's ambassador Stratford talked the Sultan into refusing. Furious, Nicholas marched his armies into Ottoman territory along the Danube. In October 1853, the Ottomans declared war on Russia. In November, the Russian Navy destroyed the anchored Ottoman fleet at Sinop in a single night. European newspapers called it the Sinop Massacre, not out of piety, but because the balance of power in Europe was now at stake. Britain and France couldn't stay on the sidelines anymore. Everything up to here was an argument. Now the part where it becomes a war: 3 empires colliding in Crimea. 3 empires collided on the Crimean Peninsula. By January 1855, even the small kingdom of Sardinia-Piedmont had joined, just to earn a seat at the table of great powers. The siege of Sevastopol dragged on for a year. That winter, British military logistics collapsed completely. Soldiers at the front went without supplies, medicine, or proper clothing. At Balaclava, a British cavalry unit was sent charging straight into Russian cannon fire on a botched order. The charge of the Light Brigade became legend. Back home, a Times reporter named William Howard Russell was writing dispatches straight from the front. and they brought the disaster into every British living room. The public was so outraged that on January 29, 1855, Parliament brought the government down in a vote of no confidence. A newspaper reporter had toppled a government from half a world away. But the deadliest weapon wasn't a weapon at all. Disease, cold, filthy field hospitals. Roughly 500,000 people died, most of them not in battle, but from illness. One woman read Russell's reports and decided to go herself, Florence Nightingale. She overhauled hospital sanitation and within months dramatically cut the death rate, laying the foundation of modern nursing. In 1856, Russia surrendered. The Treaty of Paris was signed. The Ottoman Empire's territorial integrity was formally guaranteed. The sick man Nicholas had wanted to carve up ended the war as the one empire the great powers had officially promised to protect. Russia wasn't even allowed to keep a warship on the Black Sea, about as humiliating as it gets for an empire. Sardinia-Piedmont's Prime Minister Cavour was at the table too. He walked away with nothing official, but he was the first to put the question of Italian unification in front of Europe's great powers. So did the key dispute ever actually end? Not really. The 1852 decree's rules were written directly into the treaty that ended the war, and they're still in force today. Which denomination cleans which corner of the Church of the Nativity is still decided by that 170-year-old ruling. Right now, as you watch this, there's also a wooden ladder resting on a windowsill of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. It's been there since 1757. Nobody can take it down, because if even one of the 6 denominations objects, nothing gets touched. That ladder is still sitting there today. A fight over a door key had made its own solution permanent.